Yes, I try to present the topic of Dr. Michel Henry. He has a family medical problem, and he couldn't attend this webinar, and he deeply regrets that. I try to present his topic about the MFM for the treatment of peripheral and visceral aneurysms. Nothing to disclose. The peripheral and visceral aneurysm are a relatively uncommon disease, symptomatic when there are complications, and atherosclerosis is the most common cause of these aneurysms. The surgery represents one of the treatment of this aneurysm, but with a high risk of morbidity. And the endovascular procedure have a number of limitations, disadvantages, drop box, and complications like endoleak, early thrombosis, branch occlusion, rupture, infection, migration, distal embolization, and sometimes you could have difficult to deploy covered stent in tortuous or angulated vessel. Maybe the multilayer flow modulator represents a solution. I don't detail that because Dr. White talk about the multilayer. It's a self-expandable stent, and when we place the multilayer into the aneurysm, the force on the wall is reduced and remove the risk of expansion and rupture. And they convert the turbulent flow in laminar flow and leading to the organized thrombus, stable thrombus into the sac. And present some cases. The case of type A dissection and huge left iliac aneurysm. And this is when we deploy the MFM, we have the reduction of the flow. You could see that at the left side, at the right side. And this is the completely exclusion of this aneurysm at 3 weeks after the procedure, and now at 4 years. The celiac trunk aneurysm, we could see that. And the numeric simulation showed that we have reduction of the force applied by the flow on the wall when we put the MFM. And the turbulent flow into the aneurysmal sac is converted by laminar flow when we implant the MFM into the artery. And this is the celiac trunk. At 4 months, the aneurysm begin to exclude it. And the personal series of Michel Henry, it's include 47 patients. The location is essentially iliac, femoral, and popliteal and renal arteries. And this is the example of iliac aneurysm at 2 years in follow-up. This is a popliteal aneurysm, 1 year in 1 year follow-up. And he treated also 9 cases of renal aneurysm. And the first human case, it has been treated in 2006. And this is the renal aneurysm. And 1 year follow-up, we could see the aneurysm is completely excluded. And we see the patency of collateral branch. The same patient with we have the completely exclusion of the aneurysmal sac, but this patient died by neoplasm, and 6 months after this CT scan, and we could bring the proof on clinical and organized and stable thrombus. This is the other renal aneurysm. And this is the CT scan at 6 months with the completely exclusion of the aneurysm, and the branch are patent. We have also a supraortic vessels aneurysm And this is the subclavian aneurysm treated by a brachial approach. And this is the follow-up at 6 months. The internal carotid aneurysm, also treated by the MFM. And this is the CT scan at 6 months. The meta-analysis report 173 aneurysm with the mean age 64.8 years, with the location essentially in iliac, popliteal, and renal. There is a technical success for all the procedure. 4 cases of mortality, but not device-related. And the 6 embolic type 3, the 19 MFM thrombosis or stenosis, but the intervention, and we have treated by successfully by an implantation for the other MFM in 86%. In the follow-up, we noticed 92.9% aneurysm totally excluded at 18 months, no rupture, no growth, or the branch remained patent. And the aneurysm thrombosis achieved in more than 90%. In the follow-up, we have thrombosis and shrinkage of the aneurysm is as progressive, and the exclusion could take several months, but the wall is no longer under pressure about the implementation of the MFM. The indication of the MFM, we could implant the MFM when we have a suitable morphology for endovascular repair, and we could keep some instruction for use about the healthy arterial landing, proximal and distal segments. And the contraindication is like for the aortic contraindication, no rupture, no infection, no arteriovenous fistula. And if you want to have the good results, you must respect instruction for use and have the meticulous technique and to avoid also the technical errors and to have the strong patient selection. Donc we must, to avoid embolic type 1, we must do the proximal and distal landing zone must be healthy, and to avoid embolic type 3, we have the good overlapping, and we must treat the branch stenosis before covering by the MFM, and we could conclude that the MFM represents an alternative to current devices, and the preserved branch flow could lead to progressive sac thrombosis and shrinkage, and it's a safe procedure with low complication rate, and the MFM should be the first choice to treat majority of peripheral and visceral aneurysm. Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you for the presentation. If I can have a question, is there any concern of using it at the joint level, like in popliteal or femoral artery? If there's aneurysm there and you put the stent in that joint area?
Yes, we could use in the area when we have the flexion for in the area of the flexion of the member, and we have the multilayer. We have not observed the fracture of the MFM.
Okay.
Amira, I had a question. Can we use it on a venous application as well in a dialysis AV fistulas?
No, we have not used the MFM in the venous application.
I have used it in
Does it have a higher risk of thrombosis in the venous side?
Venous thrombosis, yes. I have used it in 2 cases.
But I mean, does it increase the risk of get thrombosis more likely than the other stents? I mean, if you put it in the low flow vessel, does that increase risk of thrombosis?
It's like, I'm thinking of a specific indication in an AV fistula where the venous flow is quite high.
Yeah, that may be working that one. I mean, I don't know if there's data on it, but
I think eventually it should work, especially if you have a, end to side fistula and you are treating putting it across from artery to vein. Sometimes I have used Supera there, but I don't know whether MFM actually works well there or not.
I have used the two multilayer stents in 2 cases of iliac thrombosis, and there was a good results. And the 2 stents are patency at the moment, are patent at the moment.
Okay.
Did you dilate them after you put them in?
I think the question, Dr. Najib, did you dilate those stents after you placed them in the venous iliac veins?
Yes, yes, in iliac veins, yeah. And the first case was treated 2 years ago. And I have seen the patient 15 days ago, and the stent is patent with a good result because the patient had a venous ulcer, and the venous ulcer is healed now.
You got to report that. I'm not aware of any reports in the vein.
It doesn't make much sense to use it in a venous bed.
It doesn't give any. I don't know what the advantage of putting in the vein. Is there any particular advantage in putting in the venous bed?
I don't think there is any.
Because at this moment we haven't the other stents. We had only multilayer stent of 16 millimeter diameter, and we used it for these 2 patients. Yeah.
Okay.
But now we have dedicated stents.
I have a question for Amira. The price of the multilayer stent, is the price higher than the standard stents, covered stents, or less?
No, it's the same price like the covered stent. The same price in Morocco.
In Algeria, it's much higher than the standard covered stent.
Perhaps because
I don't know why.
Huh?
I don't know why. In Algeria, the price is of the multilayer stent higher than the covered stent, standard covered stent.
For peripheral aneurysm? Or for the aortic aneurysm?
Aortic aneurysm.
Aortic. For the aortic is more expensive than the other endoprothesis.
Dr. Krazer, and Dr. White, I have a question for you. Is multi-layer flow modulator being studied or is under investigation by FDA, or it's under a trial, or it's not there in US at all?
There's a trial that's been started at the FDA, but it stalled about 18 months ago for financial reasons. And so there is one proposed, but the continuation and the final approval has not been finished.
Okay. So I think we have the last speaker, Dr. Rajesh Vijaywargiya. He is a professor of cardiology and interventional cardiology at the PGI Chandigarh, which is one of the big leading institutes for cardiovascular training. So Dr. Rajesh, you're welcome, and I think you would be speaking on the newer endografts